What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So, when I tell people I'm from Chicago, a lot of people often ask me, like, because I tell them I wasn't gang affiliated while growing up here, and they ask me, do I think it was harder for me to be living in Chicago or easier for me to be living in Chicago being non-gang affiliated? Was it easier or harder? I feel like a neutron is always gonna have it harder than a dude that's gang affiliated when you in your teenage years, right? What do I mean? First of all, a neutron is a person who's neutral. They not gang affiliated. They don't got no ties to no gangs, nothing. They just their own individual, right? And so, yeah, I know people who are in gangs and stuff like that, but that's not me. Them ain't in my right hand man's now. Outside of my boy that y'all seen, the light skinned dude, and he left Chicago when he was about 14, 15. I was going through Chicago, not kicking it with gang members. I'm kicking it with regular, everyday young dudes in the city. And I'm gonna say, man, it is harder to navigate throughout the crib. I'm not talking about downtown in the nice neighborhoods up north. I'm talking about through the South Side in particular. You know what I mean? Through like the inner city where black folks living at. It's harder to navigate when you're not gang affiliated. Why? Like, and I tell people this, in Chicago, we don't have a busing service for the high school kids. We got to take public transportation to school, right? And so when we taking public transportation, Chicago kids is not like from what I understand, in certain places in the South. If you in Mississippi, you gonna go to the school that's closest to you. You ain't really going that far out like that. Chicago got so many different high schools throughout the city. It's rare that somebody go to their neighborhood school a lot of times. People be going to school way across on the other opposite end of the South Side, right? So I was not going to school right by where I live. I'm stuttering and stuff. I live by Chicago Vocational CVS High School, also known as Chicago Vocational Career Academy, CVCA. I'm going to Morgan Park. I'm going from over east, southeast Chicago, going to the far south side to the Hunts to go to high school. That means I got to go through different hoods. And when you're going through different hoods, different people from different hoods pile onto the bus. You know what I mean? And I'm my mama's only son. My brothers came from my father. They not living with me in my mama's house, though. So ain't nobody on the bus but me. I'm by myself. My homies don't live nowhere near close to me at all. So we ain't going to school together. We all coming from opposite ends. My homie Levante coming from Inglewood. My other homie coming from another spot in the hundreds. You know what I mean? Like 115, 116 to Aberdeen. I'm over on 86 in Euclid, right by CVS High School. So ain't nobody for me to turn to if some drama pop off. You know, and a lot of times the young dudes in Chicago, when you a teenage young man, teenage gangbangers be trying to just look for bullshit. They try to look to start shit. They try to look to create situations of aggression in order just to be on some dumb stuff just because they ain't got nothing else to do, or they want to impose their will on other people. And so for me, it was always harder to navigate as a neutron. I don't have, like, when you going through these hoods, I ain't got no ties to these people in the hood that can stop something from happening to me if one of they guys get on there with me, right? I'm not clicked up with this person in this neighborhood that can stop this from happening to me. If something happen, if something gonna happen, it's gonna happen unless I learn how to get out the way, or unless a good Samaritan or a good civilian just come and just stop what's going on. And rarely, I'm for real, the good Samaritans who gonna stop something happening to a young man in the city is gonna be a woman more than it's gonna be a man, which is unfortunate because men, we supposed to be warriors and we supposed to be, you know, protecting the community. And men be like, oh, it ain't my business, I'm staying out of it, because they don't want nothing. I guess they be thinking like these young boys got guns. But a woman gonna stop it before a man because she gonna think about what would happen if her son was out here or whatever, right? So yeah, it's always harder to navigate as a neutron. Like, I remember living over east, and like I just had moved over there. When I get home, it's 20 dudes outside the liquor store, the corner store. It's really not a liquor store, it's a corner store. Not a liquor store. They happen to sell some liquor in there, but it's really like a corner store for real. Outside the corner store on my block, right, on Euclid. And sometimes if I cut that corner, I may not have saw them. They might be right there. I can't turn back around now. They're going to smell blood in the water. Like, they're going to smell fear like a shark smell blood in the water. I just got to walk through and test my luck. Sometimes if I can see it's a whole bunch of them, I got to walk all the way around because I don't have ties to these dudes in the neighborhood to really get their protection. I don't got ties to the to any of the BDs over here or the Black Stones over here, aka the Moles. I don't got ties to the GDs over here in this area, so it's not going. I don't have any protection to stop something from happening unless I go to school with somebody and I'm real cool with them. But the chances of the likelihood of that is slim to none, because man, like a lot of the kids that went to Morgan Park, either they lived in the area, they lived in the Hunnids, and it wasn't a whole lot of kids who were just living all across town. It was some, but it wasn't like enough to where, oh, somebody from this hood gonna do something. Cause I only probably knew one person from that hood or two people from that one hood, and it's a big old hood. So yeah, it's always gonna be harder to operate as a neutron. I think about the many times where, you know, you just happen again. You at the bus terminal, going home at 95th and the Dan Ryan, and you don't know who gonna be up there. Dudes up there starting shit, messing with folks. And I hate that about my black folks, because we gotta know better and do better as a people. Why y'all out here messing with black folks? Young black men feel like, you know, damn, when I go to this bus stop, it's a chance they might jump me just because they don't know who I am, or just because they ain't got nothing else better to do, which is silly shit, which is what we should be evolving beyond. And that comes from parents teaching their kids how they should be carrying themselves and what they should be looking up to and connecting themselves with, which is not gangs, right? But yeah, I remember, like, it was certain times I learned. See, I wasn't a street smart. I didn't grow up a street smart kid. I became street smart on the fly as stuff started to happen to me, as I started to be faced with certain obstacles, as confrontation started to come my way. And confrontation can start to come your way when you a kid living on the south side or the west side or whatever, when you in the hood. You know what I mean? Downtown, up north, and certain nice areas is different. I live in a nice area now, but before, when I was growing up, I wasn't in no nice neighborhoods, you know. And again, I've always been this. I carry myself esteemed. You know, I smile a lot, so I'm gonna stand out. And when you stand out, it's some dudes that want to fuck with you just because you standing out and you different than them. And I remember when it was times when I was 13. It was a time when I was 13 years old. I got approached by some dudes that was like 17 years old, trying to fuck with me just because, right? And I lied and said I was 12, because I knew if they heard that teen at the end of that, if I told them I was 13, they might say you old enough to get an ass whooping, right? I remember me having, like, again, thinking on the fly, trying to figure stuff out, like, oh, if I feel like it's a whole bunch of dudes, and you know, and I feel like there's a chance they might try to follow me to the crib. If I don't know these people, I'm gonna walk towards the busy street, so just in case something happen, it's a chance somebody might stop and see what's going on, right? I remember like stuff I'm learning on the fly. If I feel like the bus is too crowded with like some dudes that I know might start some shit, I'm gonna get off the bus, but I can't just sit at this bus stop waiting on another bus that look like, oh, to let them know that, because that would let them know I got off the bus because of them and I'm scared. Now when I get off this bus, I gotta act like I'm walking on down the block to my house, so they wouldn't get off the bus and say, oh, we got us one. He's scared. I had to learn, like, when you walking head on with a group of men, you can't cross that street. If you cross that street, they're gonna say, oh, he's scary. He's scared. Let's go fuck with him. I had to learn how to, like, you know, to figure that out and navigate. And this is stuff I had to learn on my own. Ain't stuff my mama telling me, you know what I mean? Or my, you know, of course they try their best, but it's just stuff you got to learn on your own out here on the fly. And so me even learning to walk with a certain bounce in my step, even when I'm nervous, not wearing my poker face and not looking nervous. Because again, some of them dudes in the hood in Chicago can smell fear like a shark smell blood in the water. And I had to wear my game face. So it was a lot of stuff that I had to learn on the fly as I'm being presented with these obstacles and with these different challenges that's growing up, that comes with living in the hood. And specifically living in the hood in Chicago, I would say, because it's gang infested in Chicago. You know what I mean? Like, it's gangs in every different neighborhood, especially like in the south side and the west side, stuff like that, you know? So yeah, you got to know what gang is in your area sometimes, just so you can, like, all right, look, man, I got to, you know, you just kind of be aware of certain things like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I feel like as a neutron, it's gonna always be, when you're a person who is neutral, when you're a non-gang member, you wouldn't have certain ties to protection. Now, I will say, as a gang member, you got to deal with looking over your shoulder a lot more, because now your hood is in tour with people especially in today's climate. Like, you got young boys shooting for real, young, 14, 15, 13 type stuff, and they shooting and they getting into shooting and shootouts with each other. So yeah, you got to be careful looking around where you at and all of that. But when in them teenage years, I would say in particular, teenage years, when you, cause that's when people are more prone to mess with you. When you're a teenager, because you look young enough to get touched, and if you look grown enough, they might be a little apprehensive to do something because they feel like, oh, this is a grown man. Chances are he might have a gun on him, or he got that grown man strength where he might whoop our ass. He ain't intimidated by us. When you a teenager, it's like, them little packs of dudes, they feel more emboldened to do stuff to another teenage person. So I would say, yeah, even though gang members face all of that static that they have in them teenage years, they have a certain amount of protection because they clicked up. So they might get into some static, folks them, which folks is GDs or BDs, one of their big homies might come outside and mediate it or stop it from happening, or protect them, or get that static away from them. You might got trouble over here, and you might got trouble with one dude in the hood, but your hood, if you're a gang member, might be clicked up with this other hood that can stop the stuff from going on, right? You might have problems going on over here in this neighborhood that you might visit your girl in, but her family or her friend or her cousin them is the same gang you in, or they clicked up with your hood and it might stop it. Me, I'm going to go see a girl. I ain't got no gang affiliation. Best bet is hopefully somebody in the hood went to school with me and know me type of thing, man. So it's always gonna be harder to navigate throughout the city when you're not in the gang, because you ain't got the protection. And I have, again, my family members. I got family members that was in the gangs and stuff like that, but they were so much older than me. They wasn't in my age bracket. So, and then my man's that was gang affiliated, he left. So I'm walking around here by myself, dolo. My other homies was not gang members, so we had to figure this out and figure out how to navigate Chicago safely. Well, ain't nothing happening to us as non-gang members.